Hey guys, Lisa Callaghy here to share with you a video on Flocabulary. And this is an overview video on how to access Flocabulary, both teacher and student accounts, how to create classes for teachers, how students join classes for students, teachers, how to find different resources for Flocabulary, different lesson plans, how to find videos on the different features of Flocabulary, and also how to search out different topics, grade levels, subject areas that you teach in Flocabulary for your students. And finally, I'm going to show you a cool way to integrate Flocabulary into Schoology. All right, so let's get started. I'm here on a teacher's ClassLink dashboard, navigating to the Flocabulary application tile, clicking on that. And just to let you guys know who have been in the district and have been using Flocabulary for a few years, you'll notice that you no longer have to create an account in Flocabulary. You will automatically be signed in with a single sign-on from the integration of Flocabulary and ClassLink. So that's pretty cool. So once you click on that tile, you will be landing on your teacher homepage where you have a menu bar at the top, you have a search bar in the middle here, and then you have some shortcuts to different things like your classes. They give you current event section that you could look at, or you can switch to the weekend wrap. Clicking on this arrow will take you to the page on current events or the weekend wrap. They give you some recommendations. If you would like to see specific recommendations, you can change your preferences based upon what you teach. And then you'll see any videos that you've recently watched, or if you favorited any videos, you'll see it in the favorites area. And then they have a lesson plan section that you can view either month by month, or you can click on specific topics, grade levels when you are viewing the lesson plan. So this is the Flocabulary homepage for teachers. Now I'm going to jump right into the My Classes, teaching you how to create classes for your students. And there's actually two ways to do that. If you see in the middle of your page here, under the My Classes section, you have a purple button that says Create a Class on Flocabulary. You're actually creating your own class title for your students to join with a code, or you can import from Google Classroom, and I'll show you how to do both of those. You can also access this area from your top menu bar here under My Classes. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to bring me to My Classes page, and you'll notice there are three tabs. Your My Classes tab, then you have your school tab, just to make sure that you are in the correct school, and then it has your profile, so you can go ahead and check on making sure that your profile is correct. And then under profile, you'll see you have your favorited lessons and then some subscription info here as well. So I'm going to pop back over to the My Classes tab here to show you that there are two ways, again, to create a class. You can do that manually, or you can import. Now I'm going to click on import first. That's importing from Google Classroom, just so that you can see how that works. So I'm going to click on import with Google Classroom. All of our 1st through 12th grade Google Classrooms are rostered from PowerSchool. So you will be able to pull in any one of those rostered classes. So the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to sign into your Google account. All right, so you're going to use your Union City Google account to sign in. It may ask you for your username, which is your email address, your Union City email address, and then your Google password. Or if you've saved it, just click on, like I did under the list, and I clicked on the teacher, and now it opens up with her specific her classes. Okay, so it's very important to note that the Flocabulary only allows one teacher per class. So if you do have any co-teachers that are attached to any of these courses, which I don't think that we roster that way, We're starting to do that, but just so that you know, co-teachers will not be able to roster the same class that you do. So, for example, if you're using Google Classroom and you have a co-teacher attached to that Google Classroom, and you're importing that Google Classroom from this list here, if you do that, your co-teacher will not be able to go into Flocabulary and download this class to their Flocabulary account. So what that means is these Google Classroom classes will only exist under one teacher in Flocabulary. Won't be able to see this one class under both teachers, just so that you're aware. So you can either select all of these classes, or you can just select one if you'd like, or two, depending on if you are departmentalized. So this teacher here teaches 2 English language arts classes, and these are her 2 English language arts classes. So she would submit, and both of those English language arts classes will be rostered. So I'm going to click on that, and now it's importing her 2 classes into Google Classroom. This will bypass the whole students having to join Flocabulary, because once you've rostered your Flocabulary classes with your Google Classroom, students come over as well. All right, so I'm going to close that, and you'll see both of her classes have rostered over. And then you can actually come in here and sync. So notice that this roster did not sync. So she only has 0 students here. Her 17 students did sync from her one course. But you can always sync roster, and if for some reason your students didn't come over, you can go ahead and sync that, and it'll pull. And if it's not working, it's not working. So it seems that might take a little while for this to happen, but you also have the ability to create your own class here, and then you can have your students join the class with a code, which I'm going to show you now. So clicking on create a class, you can name your class. I'm going to name it, let me do it 328, since that one didn't come over from Google Classroom. And I'll pick grade 4, and then my subject area. It's important to see that there are 2 choices here that you have, selections that you can turn on and off for your classes. And I'll show you how to do that in your Google Classroom, the ones that you synced over from Google Classroom. So the first one is Immersive Reader, which is pretty cool. It's beta, meaning it's in testing mode. So there'll probably be some updates to it as time goes on. But what this does, it allows your students to have the ability to have the text read to them aloud. So if there's any text in any of the lessons that you assign to your students, they will have that text read aloud to them. It also, students will have the ability to control the font and the size of the font, so they can adjust that, and they can also have the text translated to them. Okay, and this is for most of the Flocabulary activities, so you can turn that on. And the second choice is the elementary filter, which allows you as a teacher to have Flocabulary not have the ability to discover through searching any Flocabulary lessons or videos that may be sensitive to students of a younger age. So you can turn that filter on, so that way those sensitive videos will not be discoverable to those students. And then once you're finished with all of that, you click on create new class, and now you have your second class. But what's important here is to note the difference between importing from Google Classroom and creating your own class. There is no code attached to the Google Classroom specifically where you would have your students join your class with a code. That code is only available if you manually create your class in Flocabulary, which I just did. And you'll see you have 2 ways of inviting your students. We do not allow our students to have an active email account in district, so we cannot use the email invitation choice. We must use the class code. And you'll see right next to the code, there is an icon that looks like two rectangles. That's a copy button. So if I click on that, I'm actually copying my class code. Then you can share that with your students however you'd like, whether it's through Schoology, in Zoom, Google Classroom. So you have that code. Now it says here to have the students visit this flocabulary.com join class. That's not necessary, because what we do is your students are already active in ClassLink and Flocabulary because we have a single sign-on, so we've connected them. So they just need to click on their Flocabulary app from their ClassLink dashboard. And I'm actually going to demonstrate that for you right now. So I'm going to pop over to a student. So let me close this out right now. And I'm in a student's ClassLink dashboard, and I'm going to click on their Flocabulary app. And this is true for all of your students. They do have a Flocabulary app on their ClassLink dashboard. So it's just going to automatically launch them into Flocabulary. Now, if they do belong to a class already, it will pop up in Flocabulary on their homepage. But if they do not belong to a class yet, what will happen is it will prompt them to enter a code first. So it won't land them on the homepage. A window will pop up over the homepage that will ask them for a class code, which you see that you get once you create your class. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to where the student's name is, and I'm going to choose my classes, because this is how a student would join a class that with a class code, even if they've already joined a different class. So if they have multiple teachers, they will probably have multiple classes to join and therefore have different join codes, unless their class was imported from Google Classroom, which when they come to the My Classes tab, after they've clicked on their tile in ClassLink, they will see all of their classes listed here. So to join a class, very simple. Click on the Join Class, enter the class code here, click on Join Class, and now this student, closing this window, has joined that 328 class that I just created. Okay, so this is how the student will access their assignments by clicking on the Assignments button next to the class that they have an assignment in. All right, so I'm going to pop back over to the teacher's page, and I'm going to come into, or go back into here, the My Classes page, so I could show you how to manage these classes here. So the first class I'm going to manage is the one that I just created. I'm going to click on the title here. Okay, that's going to bring me into that class page. You'll see I have 3 tabs. I have an assignment tab, okay? I have a students tab, and I have a manage class tab. So I'm going to start with the manage class tab, the last one. So this is again where you're able to copy your class code if for some reason you have a new student join your class after you've already had the rest of your students join. You also have your edit ability here on your class details. So if you forgot to turn on that immersive reader in beta or the elementary filter, you can click on this edit button, and then you come into the class window, creation window, where you're able to edit that. Okay, finally you get to archive classes. So at the end of the school year, you can move this class into the archived area. And then if you want to bring the class back, okay, if you want to allow the class to be unarchived. So this is, I'm archiving the class right now. I just clicked on, let me go back. I clicked on archive class, and I'm going to archive the class. So how do I find that class in the archive list? Back in the My Classes page here. can get to that from the menu bar. You come down to underneath all of your classes that are listed, you click on the show button to the right of archived classes. That's going to show you all of your archived classes, and then you can go ahead and restore them, clicking on the restore button, and now you'll see that that class is then restored. All right. So that is how to create your class and have your students join, either by creating the class manually or syncing your class from Google Classroom. All right, so now I'd like to jump into the resources for Flocabulary. So I'm going to go ahead and come into the how to use menu option at the top of your Flocabulary page. I'll go back because I kind of did that quickly. So at the top of your Flocabulary page, there is a how to use button, menu option. And clicking on that, it's going to bring you into a Flocabulary implementation page. So it starts out by showing you a video on how to use Flocabulary and integrate it into your curriculum, and how to use it with your specific students or specific demographics of students and so forth. So they really give you a nice little overview on how to use the program. Then if you come down, it'll show there's more videos to show you the full lesson sequence. So using Flocabulary's entire lesson sequence, not just the movie. And then they even give you a video on how to use the week in wrap with your students for all grade levels for that. So that's a grades 2 through 12 use of the week in wrap. There's another help center here. So if you need more help, you can click on their help center. Scrolling down, there are more resources for you. Again, the help center. You're also have some training and PD options. Some of these are district would have to schedule them, but there are some PD and professional growth webinars in here. So you could click on that to see the options. And then there are a series of lesson plans that are created by other teachers. So you can go ahead and click on those. So I'm going to just click on that quickly now so that you can see what that looks like. It brings your lesson plans and breaks it down into elementary or middle school lesson plans. And then if you select elementary, you can go ahead and select your subject area. And then within each subject area, it's broken down into topics such as language arts topics, grammar, reading and writing, analyzing authors' structured text. And then you have all different, actually, this is copy. That's the same here. That's kind of strange. Then you have social studies, and then STEM, and then social emotional learning, vocabulary, and by grade level. And then the same thing for your middle and high school. All right. So there's a whole plethora of lesson plans for you here when you go into that tab or the menu option at the top of your Flocabulary page under how to use. So to the left of that are lessons. Again, these are specific lessons that are Flocabulary created, where you get to choose by subject area. So if you're language arts, clicking or hovering your mouse over that subject area and then moving your mouse over to the right, you can click here and find some specific lessons under that topic. So I just clicked on literature, and then you'll see there are different lessons here for specific literature here, and you'll see from the lowest grade is 6th grade, and we've got Call of the Wild and Symbolism and the House on Mango Street. But most of these, oh, and then Maya Angelou and Resilience, and Langston Hughes Harlem. So we look like we're down to 6th grade at being the lowest grade here for literature. Oh no, we have a 3rd grade here. So Greek mythology. So that's under literature, under lessons, under language arts. You have reading and writing. And then, clicking down or hovering down, you have math. And then you can come and click on any one of these topics to see the lessons that are available and the grade levels. So that's how you use that lessons menu option at the top. I'm going to go back to the Flocabulary main homepage and show you that you also, underneath that top menu bar, you have this search bar. So if you have just an idea of what it is that you're teaching, I could just click, well, this is what I had done in the past. So if you're doing theme and you want to see what theme videos there are, you can go ahead and type it in, hit return, and then you'll see any Flocabulary theme videos and activities for that. Okay, and it'll tell you the subject and area and also the grade levels that these videos are targeted for. All right. And then I'm going to go back. You can also search here by New Jersey standards. So a lot of people like to do that. So clicking on that tab next to the magnifying glass to the right of it, then when you click on that tab, it brings you down to searching either all standards for K-12 or by ELA or by math. So I'm going to click on math, and then you'll see here's where you get to search by your grade level. So clicking on your grade level, so that's math, and then you'll see the standard, and then the description of the standard, and then the column for the lessons tells you how many for that standard. Clicking on the arrow to the right of the lessons, it'll open up a little window, drop down menu for you to choose from either one of these lessons, or it tells you the title. So you get some idea of what's available by standard, by content area standard, and grade level. Okay. So scrolling down, you get to see all of that. And then if there's something that you're interested in, you can go ahead and click on that lesson, and it will bring up the actual lesson, which is really cool, because then from here, you're able to do a few things. You can automatically assign it to your students. If you want to take a look at everything, you can watch the video. Okay. And then these are the activities that go along with the video: vocabulary cards and a game, a read and respond, a quiz, and there is a lyric lab where kids are able to create. Lots of creation going on in that lyric lab. And then at the bottom, you could see the lyrics. There's a quick review. And if you wanted to have a discussion about the video, if you turn this discussion feature on, the video will pause at key moments, and it will provide questions for discussions for your students. So this is something that you might want to do as a whole group with your students. At the top right-hand side, there is an add to favorites. So if you wanted to favorite this video, this activity, assignment, you can favorite that by clicking on this star up here. Okay, turn that off. All right, and then toggle between each of the activity features by clicking on these titles here on the left-hand side, and it'll show you what each of these activities are about for that particular video. Okay. Now, if you are ready to assign that to your students, you click on the assign button, and you get to pick the classes that you'd like to assign it to. And also you're able to, if for some reason you didn't want to assign it to your entire class, you can click on select students, and what it's going to do is it's going to open up your entire class, which then you can just select the students that you'd like to assign the assignment to, and then click on save selection at the end, right? I'm just going to cancel that because I'm not going to assign anything to her. You can also, if you'd like, once you've checked off or you have students that you are assigning it to, then you can come down and select the activities and dates. So you don't have to assign all the activities that are connected to that one video. You can choose if you just want the students to work on vocabulary when it comes to this topic and video. So you would select the video and then select the vocabulary activities. Or you can do all of them if you'd like. Okay. So once you check off the activities related back to that video, then you can choose when you would like students to see it in their assignment list for their class. You could choose today's date, or then you could choose any date in the future. And then you could choose the date that it is due. Once it is due, you will not be able to see that assignment in the assignment list after the due date. You also have the ability to share the assignment to Google Classroom if you use Google Classroom. So that'll take this assignment and push it right over into Google Classroom. But if you're using Schoology, I'll show you how to integrate this into Schoology. And when you're finished, you click on Create Assignment. So now your students will have this assignment and it will be available to them based upon the day that you chose for the visible starting date. All right, so I'm going to just close that. So that's how you assign. That's how you actually search out a topic and videos that are associated with that topic, and how to assign it to your students. Now, just one other thing I just want to point out are the teacher resources. Each video and its activities have teacher resources attached to them. So I'm going to click on that so you can see what that is. So you'll see this, it will give you three choices here at the top to click on. You have an overview, which is going to tell you what this word problem activity is all about. It tells you the vocabulary words here. Okay. Then the handouts tab, you have a printable activity. If you'd like, you can download the printable activity. So this would be a PDF, right? And you can assign that. You see that there is also a lyrics, a fill in the blanks, some vocabulary cards, there's the quiz, and the read and respond. So all of these things you can do, they can do within Schoology, I'm sorry, within Flocabulary, these games and read and respond and quiz, and the Lyric Lab also is available for download. Okay, so on printable materials. And then you as a teacher would have access to the answer key, that if you click on that, you'll be able to see, you'll have your answer key for those activities, those downloadable activities, printable activities. All right. So that is Flocabulary. One other thing, I believe in the how to use, there is explanations about each one of these activities underneath each video here. So it gives you a little bit more detail about how these activities work if you needed more information. Oh, finally, you have the standard alignment to that, to this activity in this video and the activities. All right. All right, so now I want to just talk to you about how to bring this into your actual Schoology. So if you wanted your students to work within Schoology and look and watch these videos or work on any one of these activities, you can embed this page into your Schoology course page. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But the first thing I need to do is I need to copy this URL. So this, if I want to assign this, I can assign this. But I want the students to be able to maybe look at it and interact with it without them having to go into Flocabulary separately outside of Schoology. And they can do that right within Schoology. So I'm going to copy this URL. Okay, I highlighted it and I'm going to do a Command C. And then I'm going to go to this website called iframe generator. And the URL is iframe-generator.com. So basically what this does is it takes any website, and it doesn't work for all websites, but it does definitely work for Flocabulary. And it kind of takes it and brings it an embed code. It turns the URL into an embed code, which means that if you, in Schoology, if you paste that embed code, students will be able to see this Flocabulary movie and its accompanied activities right in Schoology. So let me show you. So from this iframe generator page, I'm going to come and I'm going to skip down to where it says iframe URL, and I'm going to click in that little box underneath and I'm going to paste. So I'm going to do a Command V. So I'm pasting the URL that I just copied from Flocabulary, right? And I'm also going to play around here with the height and the width. So I'm going to take this height and I'm going to make it 800. And I'm going to take, I'm sorry, that's the width. And I'm going to take this height and make it 800. Okay. And then I'm also going to give it a scroll bar by changing this no to a yes. All right. And now, after I've done all of that, I'm going to click on Generate, but I could also click on Preview. So if I wanted to see what it looked like, but it's probably better for you to see it in Schoology, because what you see here when you preview is sometimes not going to be what you see in Schoology. So I'm going to click on Generate here. So what it did was it generated an iframe code. So it's an embed code. So now I'm going to come down to where it says copy it. It means I'm going to click on that and copy that embed code. So I'm going to open Schoology. Back in the teacher's ClassLink dashboard, click on Schoology. I'm going to go to my course that I'm going to assign this to. And for this teacher, I don't like to mess around with her real courses, so I'm going to go into her homeroom course and go ahead and do that. So I like to embed these iframes in a page. So under Add Materials, I click on Add Page. So clicking on that, right? I'm going to do Flocabulary word problems. That's the, yeah. Okay. Oops. Okay. And under here in this area here, there's a title bar or a menu bar. I'm sorry, toolbar. And I'm going to come all the way over to the right to these two dots. I'm going to click on here where it says switch to HTML. And here's where I'm going to do a Command V and paste that code that I just copied from the iframe generator. Right? And then I'm going to click on those two dots again. And what's going to happen is it's going to take that code that I just pasted after I click create. Okay. And now it's going to take that and make it into an iframe. What does that actually mean? Well, let me click on this material, this activity that I just created, this page in my course. Let me click on that so you could see. So it opens up that video. Now you see how it doesn't exactly fit on the page, but the scroll bar kind of allows you to fit the video. So now a kid can play the video right here in Schoology, right? And they also have the ability to click on any one of these activities. Now, what's important to know is that this is not being recorded to the student's account in Flocabulary, because you are not logging into Flocabulary here. You're just as if the kid just is going in and searching and finding this video and going through these activities. If you assigned it to the student and you wanted some grades from their quiz or from the read and respond, students would have to access Flocabulary from back in ClassLink and go to their classes and view their assignments, or just go to their assignments at the top. I'll pop over here, and students would go to assignments in Flocabulary. This is a student's Flocabulary page, and they would access their assignment here, and that's where they would actually complete the assignment, because that's where everything will be recorded in your class and results and so forth. So in order for you to see all that, the student must go back into Flocabulary and go into their assignments to access it. But if you just wanted them to interact with a specific topic from Flocabulary while in Schoology, you can do it through the iframe generator. And that's how they would see it right here in Schoology. Okay, so it's kind of, sort of like an integration, but not completely. But if you did assign it, and when you were in Flocabulary, right? So if I come back, I'm in Flocabulary as a teacher. You did assign it, and you did choose to share it in your Google Classroom, and the kids access this assignment through Google Classroom, it will open up directly in Google Classroom, and they will, whatever they do in that assignment, such as the quizzes or the read and respond, that will be recorded in Flocabulary. So you will be able to see the results, but that's through Google Classroom. All right, so I hope this video was able to give you some ideas on how to use Flocabulary, how to get started with Flocabulary in your classes and your students joining and so forth, assigning and showing you how to search and where you can find some resources on learning more about Flocabulary. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day. Stay safe.